on here?
Hi there, viewer. I'm just back from a nice 14-day trip to the United States and Canada, and we saw some great places and did some fun things, so I thought I'd make a video and share it with you. I appreciate this is more a vlog for my own delectation, but you might get a couple of tips or ideas along the way, so let's see how things went down. So this was a long planned trip. We left out of Glasgow airport and took a shuttle down to London, where we met our flight to Toronto. So may as well start with the obligatory drinks at the airport shots here. We booked the holiday through Igloo, who were very good. There's a couple of problems with payments made to the cruise company and things like that, but it all got sorted out pretty easily, and would recommend them. The flight down to Heathrow takes about an hour or so, so there's no time to feed you, but we did get a breakfast bar and a bottle of water given to us. We had about 2 hours in the terminal before our connecting flight to Toronto, which takes about 7 hours in total. We got into Toronto about 10 o'clock at night, and it's 130 kilometres to Niagara Falls where we were staying, so it's quite a long haul, but the Igloo package included a transfer, and we had a nice man who had a big Escalade, big fancy Jeep sort of car, and he provided water and Jolly Ranchers, so he got a $40 tip out, which is not bad. Well, it's $40 Canadian anyway, and we got to our hotel, the Doubletree by Hilton, which was really nice. I didn't take photos, so the ones you see here are lifted from their website, but they took us in right away. We got a hot cookie and got to the room within like 20 minutes of arriving, so that's always good. I always wonder what they do when they're tacking away in the computer for ages, probably looking up my profile. Anyway, so we immediately went out to catch a wee bit of the town. We thought it'd be closed off, but it was actually really vibrant. But we went down to the front to have a look at the actual falls, which were maybe a 10-minute walk away. And they were really impressive. You can see some of the pictures here. There'll be more to follow in daylight, but they were almost breathtaking. And you get a sheen of the spray as soon as you get down near them, so you hear them as soon as you arrive in the resort, so they are impressive. The only downside was we didn't have time to check in our Canadian relatives because we only had 1 day in Niagara Falls, but we'll do that next time we're over, and you won't be able to avoid us then. We had a good night's sleep and went out for breakfast rather than staying in a hotel, and went to an IHOP. It's quite unusual, this one. It had a sign in the street, but you had to go through an amusement arcade and up a lift to get to it. I also enjoy IHOP pancakes, so I thought this was a wee treat. The bill came out really expensive, 67 quid or so, and partly due to IRENE wanting a mimosa at 10 o'clock, drunkard. Anyway, the food was nice enough. I had this Mexican burrito thing, and IRENE did pancakes and bacon, but I don't think it was worth the money, but it wasn't the centre of all the attractions, so clearly a tourist trap, and this tourist got trapped. So after breakfast, we headed down to see the falls themselves, and we're lucky to have such a nice day for it. The whole town around Niagara Falls is really tacky. A lot of attractions like ghost houses, Frankenstein's lair, Dracula's castle, stuff like that. It wasn't that busy with tourists when we were there, but you could see it being quite the fair on a busy day. Luckily or happily, the falls themselves are unspoiled, and you can just go up as a foot pedestrian and have a look right up to the edge. It's not chained off in any way. If you do want to see them properly, you would have to get on a boat. The famous one is in Maid of the Mist, which goes from the American side. They've got blue capes, so we're on the Canadian side, and we used the local version, which gives you a red cape or rain mac. This came in about £26 each, which I would say is a bargain. Only takes about maybe 20 minutes or so if you take out the queuing. And once you're on it, you're there and back in 20 minutes. But it's really exhilarating. You'll never be as wet in your life. And I'll put a couple of clips up here, but it really doesn't do it justice because the power of it is amazing, and the boat is really, really close. I see that. A short walk from the Horseshoe Falls is this attraction, the Power Station. Nothing to do with Robert Palmer, but It's where they used to do hydroelectricity. So it's really interesting, a lot of nice exhibits, a lot of interactive ones as well. And the best thing is the tunnel, which you take a lift down to through loads of industrial landscapes. And at the ground level, it must be a good 10-minute walk, but there's audio commentary along the way at various stations. And eventually you come out at the foot of the falls where they used to generate electricity from, and you get a really good view. You see the boats going in, and it's a really nice aspect to view it from. After the power station, we took the funicular up to the top of the town, a couple of quid each, and walked back to the hotel from there. The area was a bit sketchy, but there's a couple of nice buildings that I've pictured here. We also saw a guy whose tits and fentanyl, totally comatose. I went into a nice thrift store. I did go into a shop to get some beer for the room, and the chap says didn't serve beer because the people round were mental enough. So obviously go at your caution, but it was nice enough. For our dinner in our one night in Niagara Falls, we went to the Skylone restaurant. I did research this place because it's really obvious when you get to town because it looms over the whole the area, and it's quite an impressive building. It's like CN Tower. Um, Most of the reviews I read said it was a bit of a tourist trap and that it was really expensive and not that great food. But being tourists, we went along anyway and enjoyed the experience. We booked it for about 8 o'clock and we got there 10 minutes early. And the receptionist at ground level was really snippy, which wasn't really necessary, but understood once we got there at 8 o'clock because the lifts have to be managed quite carefully and they want to take your picture and sell you that kind of thing. So once we get in, it was okay. The restaurant does revolve, and there's wee plaques every so often, so you get a wee fact about Niagara Falls, and you get some cracking views. Half the time you're looking at the car park and things like that, but half the time you're looking at the falls, and they light up at night, so it's great. They also did a fireworks show at the end, which again was quite impressive. The food was adequate. It was about $75 for a main course. I had lamb chops and a beer. IRENE had something similar and a cider, and we paid £114.73, over $200. So it was expensive, but it was a good experience. I would caution you if you go here to watch how you exit because we had to wait at least 20 minutes to lift and can get a bit nervous that high in the sky and the lift not working, but it was just everybody left at the same time, so we're all hanging about. And, there's no real way to go down the steps, but overall it was a positive experience. We enjoyed it and it's a happy memory we have. The next morning, we headed off for New York. This was always going to be a long day. The train trip was scheduled for 12 hours between 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. But we're looking forward to it because we enjoy train travel. It's usually quite relaxing. We got a cab from a hotel at 9 o'clock. It took about 5 minutes and it was $20. And we were probably stationed too early because it was a kind of remote station and the train was 40 minutes late. When it arrived, the guard said, "Don't get comfortable because you're only going 500 yards." And he was correct. So to lug our luggage on and then take it off 500 yards later, where we met US Customs just over the border, that worked out quite quickly, but we then waited 45 minutes to reboard the train. So it took a while. It was only 2 hours before we felt we were actually starting the journey. The journey itself was fine. There was plenty of space on the train, and we had good, secure location for our luggage. The buffet car was operative most of the time, although only had one chap serving, and he did a great job. But the queue was like 13 people long when I joined it, and because it was long, everybody was buying loads of stuff, so it took forever. I was the best part of an hour getting served. And then about 4 or 5 hours later, when Irene wanted a coffee, she had a similar experience, so it had lessened a little bit. The toilets were pretty manky. The guard announced, please don't put paper towels down the toilets several times, but then he announced that they're all blocked because people had put paper towels down them. So there's only so much you can do. The trip was generally okay. It was nice scenery. It did stop in Albany for an hour when the train met another train and they joined up to go to New York together. So we did get some time off the train and we got a nice Caesar wrap in Albany and saw a bit of the station, but that was all we had time for really. So we got into Penn Station in New York about 10:30, 11 at night. So it was only about 40 minutes delayed despite the other delays, but I think that's factored into their schedule. The station itself, very central Manhattan, and we're only a 5 minute walk from our hotel, the New Yorker. The hotel was nice. The room was quite small, but that's just standard New York, I think. But it was quite old fashioned with the toilet fittings, things like that, but it had its charms. One thing it did great was a facility fee, which is $35 plus tax a night. So I felt that was a bit of a scam. It was an extra 60 odd quid that we weren't expecting to pay because the room had been prepaid. And apparently, this allows me to make international phone calls from the room and use the fitness centre, neither of which were happening. Anyway, wouldn't let it get us down. So we went down to the bar and we had a couple of drinks and got to people watch. So that was good fun. Slightly sketchy area, maybe near the station, but there's plenty of security at the hotel. You had to show your key to get to the lifts, things like that. So there was no problem there. After a good night's sleep, we had breakfast in the TikTok Diner, which was attached to the hotel. I think it's actually part of the hotel because the receipt's got Trattoria Bianca on it, which is a hotel restaurant, so obviously it's double up. Breakfast was nice. I had a sort of breakfast burrito with hash browns here and coffee. Coffee was only refilled once, which I think is a no-no in New York, but let it go. The whole bill was only 54 quid, which I thought for central Manhattan was quite cheap, and it was a good start to the day. The hotel was well located on 8th Avenue at its junction with West 35th Street, so we're quite central and handy for most of the attractions we're interested in. We only had one full day in Manhattan, so we had two targets. One was to see the John Singer Sargent exhibition at the Met Museum, and I wanted to see the Alice in Wonderland statue in Central Park. So we set off for these. It was a lovely hot day. It was about 80, 90 degrees, absolutely sweltering, and we saw a lot of lovely buildings along the way, a few of which I've pictured here. We found a statue in Central Park after a short hunt, and it was worth the effort. It was really nice to look at. My affection for this is born out of its appearance in the comic book Button Man. A couple of stills from it here for you. I didn't quite recreate the shooting, but there was plenty of people climbing over it, and I was tutting at them. But looking up the internet since, I see that the statue's actually meant to be interacted with. So sorry about that, people I tutted at. Anyway, another bit of research was that the statue also appeared in an episode of The Blacklist. Here's a quick clip. The Met Museum was really good. It did cost $60 to get in, so that was £22 each, which is quite expensive given we're used to free museums here in the UK, but it was worth it. The Sargent exhibition was extensive. They had Madam X and lots of other of his greatest hits, and you got really close to see them, see the detail in the paintwork, so that was good. They also had a section where you could draw a picture yourself and put it on the wall, and IRENE did this. And the only disappointment was the Great Wave wasn't on display. I asked an attendant about it, and he said, "Yes, it's in the museum. Hopes raised. Oh, but it's not on display. Hopes dampened. But never mind. We'll get it next time." We also did a nice drink on the roof of the Met. This isn't easy to find. There's only one lift that takes you to the top floor, but we managed to find it after a while, and we had a nice, refreshing drink. Some cracking views of the city here, as you can see, and there's a lot of nice people taking your photo for you and taking them for others. After this, we took a walk back through Central Park, saw a wedding, saw some ducks, and back through Times Square and back to the hotel. For our one night in New York, we stayed relatively close to the hotel as we did early start the next day and we're quite tired from the day's exertions. We did go to the side to a bar called Rudy's, which I visited about 30 years previously when I was here with the pals, when it used to be a right dive bar. It's gone a bit upmarket now, and it was actually too busy for us to get a drink there. So we went up the street, got a couple of drinks, and then we went over the road, had a nice pizza, and then had another few drinks at a rooftop bar from which we could see the hotel. So we stayed local, but really good night. Prices weren't too bad, probably $10 a beer, and usually a dollar or two for tips. And we had a fun night overall. We had breakfast at the Berliner Cafe, which was okay. It was maybe a bit too utilitarian for my taste. It was plastic plates and cutlery, but it was relatively cheap, $40, £30, and the food was decent, if not exceptional. There weren't too many delis at this side of 8th Avenue, so we should probably just went to TikTok again, but you live and learn. So anyway, our pickup was at 10 o'clock to go to the cruise terminal, and the holiday limo company took they were about half an hour late. And then when we got in, the cab was a little bit, shall we say, musky.
Oh, this isn't even BO. This is beyond BO. It's BBO.
The trip from 8th Avenue to the Brooklyn Cruise Terminal took about an hour. Traffic was quite wild because there's a few protests on, but we got there in good time and the cruise wasn't due to leave till 5 p.m. Our bags were taken by a chap and a room number written on them. I didn't even think of tipping him, but the chap in front of me gave him $20, so only 10 on me, and he looked at me as if I was cheap, but I didn't know taking your bags was tippable, but apparently everything is these days. So fortunately, it was quite quiet. There wasn't many people embarking at this point, so they took plenty of photos of us. And part of our package was that we got all our photos for free to download. So here we go. We get given our medallion, which is like a necklace you wear, and it's an electronic device that opens your door and is used for billing. And it's quite technically adept. I was in a shop on the boat with IRENE, and I glanced over at the till and I could see our faces were on the till, so they obviously know how to market to specific people. So embarkation was really easy, and we got to our cabin, which was on the Emerald deck, which is deck 8. So a nice balcony cabin, and we met a room steward who introduced himself as Tom, nice Filipino chap. Not sure Tom was his given name. I think it might have been a pun given he was on a cruise. Anyway, so you immediately had free reign of all the drinks and food. So we had some food at the buffet, and we had a couple of beers, and we're up on deck for the leaving. Some really nice views of Manhattan as we left the Brooklyn cruise terminal. Met a few people wanted photos taken, and we got a lie of the land of the ship right away. The way Princess Cruises works is that the fare you pay initially just gets you the basics, and then you can upgrade it if you choose to do so to Plus or to Premier. We originally went to Plus, which was an extra £50 each a day. So that's 500 quid over the course of the 10-day cruise, which seems substantial, but it did give you fully inclusive internet, which would be about $300 if you bought it on ship. And it also included all of your drinks, including premium spirits and all your tips. So I did a wee bit of research on Reddit, and it was recommended to get Premier Plus, which is another 25 quid each a day, so £75 a day, 1,500 quid for the cruise. So it's a big chunk of extra money, but I think it was worth it overall. We're not massive drinkers, but if you have 3 or 4 drinks a day, it probably gets towards covering it. And you also get unlimited specialty restaurants. So we had 2 nights in the steakhouse and 2 nights in the Italian, which would have cost probably about $150 each for each visit. So that's like $600. So right away, it's a big chunk of it. You also got free fitness classes, which I wasn't interested in, of course, and free premium desserts, which were a bit excessive. I got one that was with 3 scoops of ice cream, some cake, Oreo biscuits sticking out it, so it was really too much. But what was good, it included the tips, because we only bought a couple of things out with the package. I didn't get a lobster tail one night, and they charged $20 for that, plus 18% tip. And if you just go standard, you pay 18% on every drink. So the price list that I've got shown here, you can add 18% to everything as well if you're on the basic package. So overall, I think we probably broke a bit even on it, but I think it was worth it for the knowledge that what you paid was what you got. The itinerary we chose was an interesting one, taking in Nova Scotia and then back to America for Portland and Boston. The weather varied wildly. We got stuck in Charlottetown overnight, so never actually made it to St John, New Brunswick. But then with 2 days, we were absolutely get scorched on the deck and get some sunburn. So, but the ports are all excellent in that the ship docked right at the harbour and the towns were within walking distance. So we never had to do any of the excursions. There was nothing really wanted to see anyway. We always like exploring towns and maybe find a local bar or restaurant for some to eat. So we stopped off in Halifax and then in Sydney, where I got to see the world's biggest fiddle, which was as impressive as you would expect, and it had fiddle music playing in the background, so that was all good. After Sydney, we went to Charlottetown, which is in Prince Edward Island. Unfortunately, we're both a bit under the weather at this point, so
our main venture was to go and find a chemist to get some pharmaceuticals. But nice towns, all very clean and fresh, and the locals are very welcoming. Unfortunately, the wind picked up, which necessitated an overnight stay in Charlottetown, meaning we couldn't get to St John's. It was okay for us. I said we were a wee bit under the weather, so we took advantage of the free room service. We had our breakfast delivered every day, which we enjoyed on the balcony. They also let you have beer and things delivered to your room. So again, this was totally abused. And the World Cup football was on as well, so I watched some of that. And we also watched Mickey 17, which was reasonable. And IRENE enjoyed Aliens on the TV as well. So the audiovisual offering was really good, the entertainment package, plenty of films. There was no extra charge for these. So we had plenty of nice days just loafing about, eating and drinking in the room, and then going out for meals at night. But the ports were nice, and it was good that they're all handy for, a quick look about without having to spend the entire day there. So we still did plenty of steps, and saw a bit of different places, and it was very worthwhile venture. Our last two stops were Portland, Maine, and Boston. At Portland, US Customs came on board. We all had to file past some sci-fi looking scanners, and they checked our passports to make sure we were who we said we were. So Portland was okay. It was a nice small town. It was pretty much shut up though because it was a Sunday, and we didn't actually go off the boat in Boston. We'd been a few years previously, and it was about 90 degrees. And we're both slightly under the weather still, so we enjoyed having the ship to ourselves and sitting out on deck and just getting endless cocktails delivered to us. So that's the sun setting on the cruise. We had a day at sea, and then we came back to the Brooklyn Cruise Terminal to a hot New York. We had to wait about an hour and a half or so to get our pickup from the holiday taxi people, which took us to JFK. There was a wee bit of a kerfuffle in that we were meant to get a private hire, and they stuck 7 different couples in it. So there's 15 of us crammed onto this minibus, and the driver wanted to shove us all off at Terminal 4, despite us being at Terminal 8, and he said it would be a hassle to take us to the correct place. So we gave him a bit of abuse, and he took us to the correct terminal, and the flights home were fine. So it was all in all a good trip, but let's summarise in person.
Phew, good to get that done. Video's nearly as long as the holiday. Anyway, a good trip overall. I would recommend Princess Cruises. It was maybe one notch above Marella, who we'd used before and enjoyed. Price point wise, maybe one or two strokes above it. We paid about £6,500 for this entire holiday, which is expensive, but it was my retirement gift to myself, so let's say that anyway. We ate well, the food was generally good. It could have been a bit spicier for me in a lot of places. I probably preferred maybe an Indian restaurant rather than Italian, but there was plenty of food. The pizza on deck was really nice, and the buffet was always fully loaded and massively busy too. But we're never short of a drink. The staff were excellent. They were always happy to take an order, which you could do in the app or in person, and they were never slow in refilling your glass, so that was all good. Couple of small snags were with the spa. I got a couple of treatments done, and probably overcharged her by about 200 or 300 quid. It was all service charges added and consultations and bullshit like that, so that left a bit of a sour taste. And the casino was also a bit weird in that we played it just for fun because I had $100 cruise credit, and we roughly broke even, so I had about $120 in my account, and I transferred it back to bank. But what I didn't know was you had to then cash it out. I thought it would just go back to my cruise account, so I checked online, and it looks like they'll send me a cheque in 3 months or so for any balance. So I'll let you know in the comments if that ever appears. But overall, it was good fun. It's quite tiring. Let's say we both got a bug at one point, was sort of coughing and hacking a wee bit, because I think it's just the changes of climate, plane journeys, a lot of different food interactions with people. So it comes with the territory really, but overall it was an excellent holiday. We saw a lot of things, did a lot of things, had a lot of good time together, because days at sea and things like that, all you're doing is eating and drinking and watching the telly, so it was all good. And Igloo, who organised it, did a good job, and I've got no real complaints about any aspect of it. So Anyway, thanks for staying to the end. I'm amazed if you have done, but well, hopefully next holiday will be a bit more succinct and to the point. But have a good day, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.